All right, we are live. Um, I'll send out the thing as. All right, we are live. Yeah, it's working. Hello, everyone. We'll just give it maybe 2 more minutes until more people come in, but we'll get started shortly, and hopefully no technical difficulties this time. And a quick reminder for anyone tuning in right now, if you have any concern about the election show, if there's any issue you're experiencing, please let us know in the Sim discussion channel in main. That's the only channel that's going to be monitored by me during the show. Also, hi, Bran. By me, I mean Hurricane. Do not ping APG in main.
No, please do that. I encourage you to keep pinging me. I really love it when you guys do that.
All right, well, should we get started?
I believe so.
Yeah, sounds about right.
All right then. Welcome everyone to the official September 2021 ModelUSGov federal and presidential election results show. As always, I'm Hurricane, and I'll be your host along with IC and APG. Joining us today are representatives from all three of the major parties. So we have Felix for the Greens, Zippy for the Democrats, and Guns for the Republicans. And they'll be providing an analysis and expectations as we go on through the night. As always, you can monitor the sidebar, which will have live results for the presidential race, as well as the bottom ticker, which will show results for the House and Senate races. And like always, we'll be going in order from east to west, starting in Atlantic and ending in Fremont. Although for presidential elections, we will expect to have results whenever we get projections from the Associated Press. So that all being said, let's begin. And the first thing we do before we get into any of the results, we are now getting word that all polls have now closed across the country from east to west. And the Associated Press has made a call before a single vote has been counted. And in that call, we see that the Associated Press projects that Republican nominee Edith Soccer has won the state of Fremont with 0 votes to Democratic nominee Tripleon's 18's 0 votes. So this sets it up for 122 electoral votes. Because the AP made this call because it was far outside the margin of error. But that being said, we are now getting live results, and let's go to our first state, Atlantic. And before that, let's look at incumbencies. In the outgoing Senate, we have 7 Democrats and 3 Republicans, although only from the last election, there were only 6 elected Democrats, of course, because Governor Goog of Appalachia appointed a Democrat to fill Melp's seat after he resigned. And in the House right now, we have a Democratic majority, 21 elected, versus 14 Republicans and 2 Greens. Of course, in the last Congress, the Greens and Democrats were in coalition, and they had a 2/3 majority after the defection of 2 Republican House representatives towards the end of the term. So before we get started, APG or IC, do you have any analysis going into the election?
Yeah, I can jump in here. I think we're certainly going to see some interesting results on the Senate side of things. Really have a lot of strong candidates all across the board. So a lot of these races, I feel, are going to be very, very tight as a result of those great candidates. In the House, obviously, in my opinion, it's always a little harder to tell, especially with the list, but I think we're going to see some excitement tonight.
Thank you. That being said, now let's go look at our first state, and that is the Atlantic Commonwealth. Let's look right now at the exit polls. So right now, in terms of incumbency, we have an outgoing Republican senator, Super Pac-Man 04. And in the Senate, we have a race where the Republicans are currently leading the Democrats, with Cody having a 7-point lead, while in the first and second districts, you had outgoing Democrats, but you have Republicans in the lead. And in the third district, you had a Republican incumbent and a Democrat in the lead. So kind of a flip there. Party leaders, let's see your expectations going into Atlantic. Let's start with you, Zippy.
As the state chair for the Atlantic Democratic Party, as well as one of the senators, I'm very intrigued to see what is going to happen. The Senate race is going to be pretty anticlimactic because it's basically. However, in my opinion, the first district, especially my old seat in New England, is going to be probably one of the most important House races to watch the sides who wins the election. And that's.
Thank you. And Guns, You're running in this race. What are your expectations for the state?
I think the Atlantic Republican Party put up a really great showing this term. As the lieutenant governor of the state, I've been able to watch our Republicans really get a really strong message out to the voters in Atlantic. I'm thinking that as the exit polls show, I think it's going to be a good showing for the Republicans tonight in Atlantic. And we have a lot of confidence about Pac-Man in the 3rd District. We believe that his popularity as the incumbent senator and Engen's failure to really debate well should give Pac-Man the edge in that seat. So we're hoping for that.
Thank you. Felix, the Greens are not running in this race, but what do you think of the presidential chances in Atlantic?
The Greens' thoughts about the presidential chances in Atlantic are that hopefully the Republicans will win, since they seem to have great policies and they seem to be very appealing a lot to Atlantic voters with their very smart and very intelligent economic policies, especially. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's just go directly into results. First up is Atlantic's 1st District, covering New England, where you have Y99 for the Democrats versus Sam Diggity Dog for the Republicans, who is, of course, a Democrat turned Republican, and he has won this race 54-46. So this is the first pickup of the night for the Republican Party, and is it a sign of things to come? Let's see. Now let's go into the 2nd District, which covers the state of New York, the former state of New York, I should add, rather. And in this race, incumbent Lieutenant Governor Guns, who is with us, has defeated Democratic nominee Hyperdrive by a 56-44 margin. So this is the 2nd Republican House pickup of the night. And now let's look in the hotly contested 3rd District. And in this 3rd District, we see that the Democratic nominee Ingen has narrowly edged out outgoing Senator Super Pac-Man 52-48. So this is the first Democratic pickup, giving them a net loss of 1 in Atlantic. Now let's go to the Senate race in Atlantic. And in this Senate race, as many people expected, the Republican nominee Cody 5200 has defeated Democratic Speaker Anaconda 59-41, giving the Republicans their first Senate seat of the night. Before we go to party leaders and analysts, let's also take a quick look at the presidential race. This is not a final result. This is just who's leading right now. And right now, independent candidate 0/0 is leading by 0.6 points with 69% of the vote reporting. This can change, of course, but this is what the state of the race is now. So now let's go to analysis.
So for Atlantic, we've seen the GOP, oddly enough, has not really built in their previous incumbency down in the south of the state and have more built up considerable popularity up in the north of the state, where Cody won the most of his votes, where he just blew out Anaconda, and where they picked up new House seats. With this interesting shift in the south, possibly due to a popular House candidate for the Dems.
Thank you. Party leaders then, let's go to you. Let's see what you thought of these races and what do you think is going to happen as we go into Appalachia. Before we go to you, let's look at the coming up next screen for Appalachia. And in Appalachia, we have 2 incumbent Democratic senators trying to defend their seats. We have Jacob A. in the regular race against President Ninja Dragon. And we have incumbent Governor Googmaster trying to replace outgoing Senator Trans Reagan. And of course, in both of these, the race is tied. In the 1st district and the 3rd district, you have Democrats in the lead. And in the 2nd, you have a Republican in the lead. So now let's go to party leaders. Guns, you can start.
First, I want to say that we are shocked at the loss of Pac-Man in District 3, but as results go. The losses are expected to happen. In Greater Appalachia, we're hoping for a pretty good turnout here. We're hoping that the Republicans can pull out both the Senate seats here and do really well in the 3rd district. I think Bran has gotten a really strong message out, and we're confident in both Bran and Chimazer's ability, or not Chimazer's, my apologies, and our candidate in the 1st district's ability to win their seats or compete for their seats.
Thank you. Felix, what are your thoughts?
I think that these results are really a great showing for the Republicans, and it shows how the incompetency of the Democrats are being punished by the voters. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Zippy?
First of all, this is really much of a kick in the, for lack of a better word, stomach to the AC Dems, especially as it shows that, especially as they are defending a Senate seat. Oh, that's my Senate seat. Oops. That we are having to defend in the next election. It is very much going to be a tipping point, and anything could change. Looking at Greater Appalachia, we really hope we can pull off both the Senate seats there, as well as as wins in the 1st and 3rd district. We hope former Governor Sidakra can do very well and take the seat for the Dems, which is very much one of our key hold seats that we need if we want to eventually prevail and win the House.
Thank you. And looking at the comments in this stream, yes, the 122 presidential electors already on the screen come from Fremont, which the Associated Press called with 0% reporting. So now let's go look at results in Appalachia. Starting off in the 1st district, which pitted Democratic nominee, some British dude, against Republican nominee, Grigidus. And in this race, the Democrats have come out on top 53 to 47. So this is the Democrats defending their 1st seat of the night. Their 1st seat in the state, apologies. After that, now let's look at the 2nd district. In the 2nd district, which pitted Democratic nominee Confident It against Republican nominee Le Chevalier Malfait, has seen the latter win 52 to 48, flipping the seats to the control of the Republican Party. And finally, in the 3rd district, which pitted 2 longtime star candidates of Appalachia, we have former Governor Sidakra defeating former Governor Bran of Raisin 53 to 47, giving Democrats continued control of the state delegation. Finally, let's go into the Senate races, both of them. And there's a lot on the line here, since Senate control could very well be decided in Appalachia. And in the 1st race, which was a special election to complete the term, we have Googmaster defeating Chimazer 53 to 47, giving Democrats their 1st Senate win of the night. Meanwhile, in the other race, which was extremely bitterly contested between incumbent Democrat Jacobe and a Republican President Ninja Dragon, we've seen the latter win the seat 56 to 44. So this is a flip, and it means the Republicans are now 2 seats on their way to a possible Senate majority. And now let's look at U.S. President in the state. The Associated Press is ready to call it, and the 95 electors of Greater Appalachia go to Democratic nominee Triplions, who is currently leading by about 3 points with 80% of the vote. That being said, now let's go to analysis.
So we're seeing the continued Democratic stranglehold on Appalachia's politics, Greater Appalachia's politics, with just a little breakthrough in the Ohio area, where Chev, who previously ran, I think 1 or 2 elections ago for that seat and lost, has made a political comeback, and he's taken that seat. But otherwise, we've seen them set down the popular former rep and former governor and former assemblyman Bran. And we've seen them hold the incumbent president to less than 60% of the vote, a popular incumbent president in his home state. which is pretty remarkable. And we've also seen them take seen Governor Goog become Senator Goog and take that seat.
Yeah, I'll jump in here for a little bit. Like Icy said, and like I said earlier, very, very competitive Senate elections tonight based off of the strength of the four candidates. But something I'd like to mention, and Hurricane, you mentioned it earlier, is that CDOC, former governor of the state, ends up sort of returning back to his state, winning the House seat he was up for. So is this a resurgence of former, I guess, popular? He certainly won election first time official. I guess we'll have to see.
Thank you. Now let's go first to the next state screen. So that it would be Dixie. Oops. And the Associated Press is actually ready to call a second state at this point, calling the Atlantic Commonwealth for Democratic nominee Chip Lyons, who has narrowly beat out independent candidate Zero by about 3 points right now with 90% in. And that makes it the second state the Democrats have won. Of course, you need 3 states to win this election, whichever 3 states. So this means Democrats have 1 more state to go and Republicans have 2. And now let's go to Appalachia. And in Appalachia, let's go to Dixie. And in Dixie, you have a Republican outgoing senator who is not running for president, and a tied race. You have 3 incumbent Democrats, 1 incumbent Republican, and you have the coalition in the lead in 3 of those races. Party leaders, thoughts on what's happened so far and what we're seeing going into Dixie? Let's start with you, Zippy.
First of all, even though I'm personally a bit saddened about losing the junior senator, Jacob I was a great candidate. We're happy to pick up in the special, as well as the big wins in the 1st and the 3rd district in Greater Appalachia, and of course the very important presidential calls in Greater Appalachia and Atlantic for us. Overall, heading into Dixie, this is one of our probably most important states. This is going to probably be the seat that will decide the U.S. Senate, if it will be decided right now. And of course, very interesting races all throughout the board, especially in the 4th district with that one Narcissist and Jacob and Austin meeting up.
Thank you. Guns.
In Dixie, Republicans are expecting a really good showing. We're sad about our loss in Atlantic in terms of the presidency, and we're also disappointed in our poorer than we expected turnout in Greater Appalachia. But we're confident in both the 2nd and 3rd district, as well as we're hoping for Jacob and Austin to pull out the win in the 4th district.
Thank you. And finally, Felix, the Greens have a candidate here. What are your thoughts?
Well, the exit polls show good results for our Green candidate, and it also is showing good results in general, it looks like, for the Republicans. Once again, showing that really only anybody other than the Democrats are what the voters want.
Thank you. And now let's see what the actual results are. Let's go first to the 1st district, which covers Florida and Georgia, I believe. And in the 1st district, we see that, well, if the slide would change, we see that incumbent Democratic Congressman Cry Defiance has won by a whopping 69-31 margin against Republican nominee M. Last Celebration, giving Democrats continued control of this state, of this district. Now let's go to the 2nd district, where longtime Republican Assemblyman Winston Wilhelmus has defeated longtime Democratic Assemblyperson Political Bailey 58-42, giving the Republicans control of this seat. In the 3rd district, I think, therefore, I Flam, the Republican nominee for governor in the past, and now for the 3rd district, has edged out a victory over It's Not Brandon, 51-49, closer than some would have expected. And finally, in the 4th district, for the Greens, this is important, Jacob and Austin, 54 against the Democratic nominee, that one narcissist, 46, giving the Greens their first seat on the board tonight. And now it's time to go to probably what is the closest Senate race of the night. And in this race, we see that John G. Roberts Jr. for the Democrats has by the skin of his teeth, edged out Vice President Seldom 237, won 16.26 million votes to 16.22 million votes. That's 50.05 to 49.95%, giving Democrats 5 Senate seats. And let's look at the presidential results now. With 80% of the vote reporting, Republican nominee Edith Tucker is leading by about 10 points, although we are getting reports that Dixie is having trouble with its Board of Elections website, so we might not get live results for a while. Analysis, please.
Yeah, I can start. As I predicted, very tight race. This may be the closest race that I remember in recent history. And I think that is testament to the competitiveness of the vice president, I guess outgoing now vice president in Dixie, as well as the popularity of the lieutenant governor. Who knows what was influencing the decisions of the voters, but we have the results. We can't really question them. What I will say, though, is that with the election of John G. Roberts for Senate, I can't really feel confident predicting now who is going to win Dixie. If you asked me for the Senate race, I probably would have said Edith. Now I'm not so sure. So very much still a toss-up as far as the presidential race is concerned.
Thank you. Quick correction is Tripp has 38, not 48%. Apologies. The ABC News forecast desk cannot do math tonight. That being said, Icy, do you have anything to add, or should we go to party leaders?
Not really, besides that, the amazing closeness of the Dixie Senate race and the remarkable Green victory over who was a fairly popular Democrat, that one narcissist. So I think those are two of the highlights from tonight.
Thank you. And now party leaders, as we go into spears, as you can see, the Dixie Board of Elections is turning out weird results, which is why they are giving a pause on live results for now. So we might not see the Dixie number on the sidebar rise for a while. So now let's go to party leaders. Let's look at expectations going into Superior. And you can see in the polls here, you have an outgoing Democratic senator, 3 outgoing Democrats in one of the bluest states in the nation, along with 1 incumbent Republican House representative. And you have a lot of tied races here, although you have 1 Republican and 1 Democrat leading in the House. So let's see what you guys think. Felix, the Greens are running in the 4th district. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that we're going to win easily in the 4th district, even though the current exit polls show a tie. I think that in the end, it will show that the Greens really are making a comeback now. And I want to say for the Dixie Board of Elections issues, I don't think it's a surprise that we're seeing issues like this when Trippy is so behind in the polls. Thank you.
Thank you. Guns, let's go to you.
We're confident about the results that are going to come from Superior. We believe that we have a solid shot at winning the Senate race, the 2nd district, and we believe PGF is going to do well in the 4th district. We're pretty saddened by the loss of Seldom in Dixie. That was kind of unexpected. But we know we can overcome that with hopefully a president with a vice president.
Thank you. And finally, Zippy.
First off, talking about Dixie, it is an incredible feat that Lieutenant Governor Roberts won the Senate race, and my huge congratulations go to him. Obviously, I'm a bit annoyed about losing the 4th District and the 3rd District based on how close it was, but that's overall. Heading into Superior, we really hope we can pull off the Senate seat to guarantee ourselves no matter what the Senate majority. Very interesting race also in the 2nd Congressional District here, as I believe it's Model Willem is running against Beast Pugsimmer, the current 4th District representative, so that will be a very interesting race, especially since, if I remember correctly, Model Willem did not show up to the debate.
Thank you. And let's get right into the races. Let's go first to the 1st District, where incumbent H.K. Norman is facing off against former Republican Senator D.D. Whitey. And in the 4th District, in the 1st District, D.D. Whitey has convincingly won 59-41, giving the Republicans a pickup in that district. Now let's go to the 2nd District. In the 2nd District, where Model Willem was against Beast Pugsimmer, Model Willem has actually won this by the skin of his teeth once again, 50.1 to 49.9, giving the Republicans a second win in this historically Democratic state. And in the 3rd District, Lieutenant Governor President Dewey has convincingly won against the Greens 72 to 28%, giving this race to the Democrats. And finally, in the 4th District, where Assembly Speaker PGF is facing off against Sandlergott for the Democrats, PGF has won this 50 to 49. And this gives the Greens their 2nd race of the night. Now let's go to the Senate, where Graylat for the Republicans put up a very strong challenge against incumbent Democratic Governor Susan Barnes. But in this race, as you can see, Barnes has won this 52 to 48, giving the Democrats a Senate majority, 52 to 48. So I'm sure you guys are already working the lines of succession for Superior in your minds, but we will get back to this. For now, analysis.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. As far as the Senate goes, this actually surprised me. I will say that, going back through and watching all of the debates as they were happening, both candidates in Superior probably had the greatest debates of this election. Just really, really solid, really, really policy focused. So I commend both of them for that. As far as the House and the rest of the state goes, is this the beginning of a Republican resurgence in Superior, where they did very well before we combined states early in the year? Who knows? But right now, it's certainly looking that way.
Thank you. Icy, do you have anything to add?
All I have to say is when looking at the governor arrangements and the line of succession, may God help us all.
Thank you. I believe we have a presidential call right now. Yes, we do. And in the state of Superior, Aditya Thakur has won the state according to the Associated Press, 90% in. He's leading by 15 points, which gives him 106 electoral votes, bringing him to a total of 228. And the entire race now hinges on Dixie, where the website has crashed after too much traffic from election Twitter users. And this means that we are still not getting any more live updates from that state. Now let's go to party leaders in Fremont. And Fremont here, we have very unhelpful exit polls. This was the seat of outgoing Senate Majority Leader Kiba, who's not running for re-election. We had 2 Green districts, 2 Democratic districts, and every contested race is tied, while every uncontested race, which is the Senate, the 2nd, and the 4th districts, has no exit polls. So now let's start with Felix. This is the Greens' home state. How are you feeling?
Well, we're feeling great because we have uncontested seats. It's gonna look good for the Greens because it's really working out well for us tonight, even though we lost the 3rd district in Superior. It's looking good here, and we're happy about how it's going so far.
Thank you. Zippy, what are your thoughts going into the final state?
Going into Fremont, we hope we can hopefully be able to win some of these races that are very close, especially in the 3rd district. However, overall, we are very happy at Democratic HQ that we were able to pull off the Senate.
Thank you. Guns?
Well, we're super confident in ICO's ability in the 1st district to really get out the vote. We believe that the 3rd district is going to be pretty competitive with the Greens, and we are extremely disappointed and shocked at our loss in Superior. We really wanted greatly to make it up the edge, and watching the Senate, fall out of our hands is always not fun in the Republican HQ. But we're beyond confident in our presidential candidate's ability and really pulling this thing together for us.
Thank you. Now let's go into the House races. And so in the 1st district, Bono ICO for the Republicans has won this race against late Democratic nominee Matt Darkweb, who was Speaker of the Assembly before, and came out of retirement to run as a last-minute nominee. And in this race, the Republicans have won this 53-47, keeping the seat in Republican hands. Now let's go to the 2nd district, which is California. This race was uncontested, and unsurprisingly, Platinum 21 has won against a substantial write-in campaign, although it could obviously not match the results of the actual Green nominee. Now let's go to the 3rd district, which covers Cascadia. And in this 3rd district, Democratic Speaker Evermax has defeated Green nominee Mado Kiyosanto 53-47 after the latter decided to not show up to the debate. And finally, in the 4th district, covering Alaska and Hawaii, we have incumbent Green, an Orthodox ambassador, winning the seat convincingly 67-33 against an organized Democratic write-in campaign, giving the Greens 4 districts in total. And finally, let's look at the Senate race, where, of course, Representative Corrado was running uncontested and has obviously won this race with 69% of the popular vote to 31 for write-in Democrats. So as you can see, the Senate is 6-4. And that being said, APP and IC, do you have any analysis for the state before I believe we're going to get our last presidential result?
Yeah, really surprising about the success of these write-in campaigns, but in those cases, the Greens were able to push ahead in the write-in campaigns and come out on top. If I'm a Green Party member, I'm feeling really good tonight. Pick up a Senate seat, pick up a couple of House seats. We're not even going to talk about the list seats right now. We don't know. But yeah, I'd feel pretty good if I were a member of the Green Party tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment.
All right. Thank you so much. And now we are getting our final state call after the Dixie Board of Elections has rented a new server for their website. And now we are going into the last state, which has 119 electoral votes and is going to decide this presidential election. It's all up to Dixie, which is where both presidential candidates are hailing from. And in the state, with 97% of the vote reporting, it is the Republican nominee who comes out on top, 52 to 46, with 0 taking the last 2%. And with this, it means that the Republicans have picked up 119 electoral votes, bringing them to 347, which of course means that Eden Soccer is the president-elect of the United States. 347 electoral votes, which, as you might recall, is less than both of Obama's wins, but more than either Trump or incumbent president Ninja Dragon. And this is now the result. Party leaders, reactions. Let's start with you, Guns, since your party has won the presidential. Guns?
Oh, my apologies. I didn't hear the question. Will you repeat that, please?
Oh, yes. Your reaction since your party has won the presidential election.
Oh, yeah, no, we're beyond ecstatic. I got calls from HQ, like, it's crazy. We knew IS was going to pull it off. We really, like, he did what he had to do. He got his message out, and the Republican Party doesn't know what to do other than shout for joy that we once again took control of the White House.
All right, thank you. Zippy, what are your thoughts?
Obviously, we are quite disappointed and upset and annoyed that we may have lost, but overall, we hope that America, who will realize that eventually that they tried again to elect a God president, and hopefully this will be another wake-up call that realizes that due to some shady deals from the Green Party, sorry, just had a bit of a cough I had to deal with. But overall, this is just the fact that overall that Americans still trust the Democrats to run the Senate, and the House is still up in the air. Anyone can win the House due to the list. So don't, and of course, just remember, things can happen.
Thank you. And finally, speaking of the Greens, Felix, your thoughts on everything so far?
Obviously, this has been an amazing showing tonight for the Green Party. We have picked up many seats and we have made many great deals. Unfortunately, some people are mad about those deals because they have no idea how to actually negotiate. So it's good to see that we've come very far and that we have we're basically 2 seats away from beating the Democrats in the House, and with just 1 more seat, we in the Senate, we could have had a Green Senate Majority Leader, but it's unfortunate that didn't happen. So tonight's been a great night for us, and I'm sad that the Democrats are mad, but maybe they should negotiate better. Thank you.
Well, can I just tell you that you should have been honest? Honesty is the best policy.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank y'all. Now let's look at the House list, then we'll go to analysis and final reactions. So in the House list, the Democrats are on 44. The percentages are wrong. The Republicans are on 44.8, and the Greens are on 21.7, which means that the Democrats and Republicans both get 8 seats, and the Greens get 3 seats, which means there's 14 Democrats, 16 Republicans, and 7 Greens in the House. Let's see what this means now. Let's go to the final standing board. And in the final standing board, you might be surprised to learn 6 Democrats have, of course, won their Senate races, both this election and the past election. So they're going to this with 6 senators. The Republicans have won 2 Senate races. So that's reflected on the board. And the Greens have won 1. However, because Senator R.M. Steve of Fremont has been elected as Vice President-elect, he will now be resigning his Senate seat, which will have an appointment from Democratic Governor Gregor the Beggar, which means that, presuming that he appoints a Democrat, the Democrats will have 7 Senate seats, a veto-proof majority. Meanwhile, in the House, the Republicans have 16, the Greens have 7. This gives the coalition control of the House, but falls short of a 2/3 supermajority, with the Democrats having 14 seats, denying them 2/3. And in case you thought this was over, with all this change let's first look at the presidential results. As you can see here, Zero came very close to winning Atlantic, and he also did well in Fremont, winning Los Angeles. But as you can see, 3 states were won by the Republicans. APG, IC, any analysis before we talk about governors?
Yeah, I can jump in here. Some very strange congressional results tonight. I didn't really expect the Democrats to maintain control of the Senate, especially when you look at everything else that happened over the night. But they do, which they're probably very happy about. And when you look at the House results, I don't think they quite tell the full picture because, yes, the Democrats and the Republicans are opposed to each other. That's a given. But the Greens, I guess, are some sort of swing vote. So who knows? They may be the new power brokers in their enlarged position that they have now in the House.
Thank you. IC, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm amazed for the first time since I think for the first time in like 4 years, we've seen, or for a while at least, I'm not going to do the math, we've seen a Republican majority, quote unquote majority, in the House. They have a coalition with the Greens, and they need those votes to maintain control of the House. But it is interesting to see this for the first time in forever, basically.
It is indeed. And yes, you're correct. The last time there was a Republican House majority was in 2016 to 2018. Party leaders, can we get your reactions? What are your thoughts on the elections in general? And what do you expect the next few weeks to look like in Washington? Let's start with you, Zippy.
Overall, I feel like as an election as a whole, it is definitely a disappointment for the Democrats, but obviously this is due to us narrowly losing the presidency and being overall betrayed by the Greens, and I'm using that word not lightly. But however, overall, the Senate is probably the one thing that will make the American people realize that Democrats are the party for them. And we really hope that this is a wake-up call to the nation and realizing that once again, in a few months' time, we're going to elect state governments, and Democrats are notoriously good on state governments. You have to watch out for them that.
Thank you. Felix, Griggs, reaction.
Obviously, this has been a great showing for the Greens, as I've said before. Unfortunately, we did lose a few seats, but we are hoping to fill those seats up through the list and give those seats the people who lost their seat that they deserve. And unfortunately for the Democrats, they think that this will be a wake-up call for the country, but if anything, this should be a wake-up call for the Democrats to show how incompetent they are and what the American people actually think of them. Incompetent losers who can't win elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Guns, your reactions.
The Republican Party is beyond ecstatic at the results we saw today. I think it really shows that the country is ready for the Republican Party to come back into control. We won 16 House seats. That's a huge win for the Republican Party. We're back. The Republican Party is back, and we're ready to compete and be on the top stage like we haven't been for the previous elections.
Thank you. And before we're done, we're not done yet. There were 6 state executives running in all these races, and a lot of them have won, which means that we have some major changes in the states. Now let's go look at them. And the most interesting, of course, is in the state of Superior, because Governor Barnes has won his Senate race, Lieutenant Governor Dewey has won his House race, and Assembly Speaker PGF has won his House race. Attorney General Copped is now the governor of Superior. And you can see here a live photo of the Attorney General moving into the governor's mansion on screen. Apart from photo credits to Icy, and of course, looking at the other changes, in Greater Appalachia, Goodmaster has become a senator, which means that Lieutenant Governor Darius Minetti becomes governor. Meanwhile, 3 states, Atlantic, Dixie, and Superior, have lost their lieutenant governors and will need to confirm new ones. And that, I believe, is all. That is the end of our results show. APG, do you have any final words?
Yeah, first off, congratulations to all the participants tonight. Everybody did really, really well, except those who didn't debate. You received shame. But the debates really well. As far as submissions went, there weren't a whole lot of issues, so I appreciate that from you guys. It makes it easier on us. Expect a post-mortem sometime this weekend. It is a long weekend, so...
Okay, I'm gonna close the stream now because it's just dying.